The nights are growing longer, and with them, the souls of September rise to wage their war. The stars above? They're not just distant twinkling lights. They're witnesses, silent observers of a battle between good and evil that rages within every zodiac. You may not feel it yet, but soon enough, you'll understand. First, Virgo, the sign of purity, of perfection. Virgos always seem so grounded, always striving for order. But this September, something's different. There's a woman of Virgo through and through, meticulous to a fault. She spent her life crafting a world that's flawless, from her home to her work to her relationships. But one evening, as she stares at a slightly misaligned picture frame, she hears it, a voice. Quiet, like a breeze, yet unmistakable. "Fix it," it whispers. She tries to shake it off, but the voice grows louder, more insistent. "Fix it now." The more she tries to resist, the more her life spirals out of control. Everything around her begins to crumble, her perfectly aligned world starts to shift, twist, distort. And by the end of the month, she's not even sure what's real anymore. Her soul, once pristine, is now tainted by something dark. Something that feeds off her need for control. And the worst part? That voice? It's hers. She's become the very thing she was fighting against. Now Libra. The eternal judge. The soul that weighs good and evil in the balance. Libras crave justice, fairness, balance. But in September, the scales tip. Picture this: a man innocent, falsely accused. His entire life torn apart by a lie. Every night, as he sits in his empty apartment, he's visited by shadows, whispers crawling from the dark corners of the room. They did this to you. Make them pay, they hiss. He tries to fight it, to stay balanced. But the darkness within him grows stronger, feeding on his desire for justice. And then, one night, he gives in. He confronts those who wronged him, but not with words. No, his hands do the talking now. When the police arrive, he stands over their lifeless bodies, a twisted smile on his face. The scales have tipped, and the man who once sought balance is now a servant of chaos. And then there's Scorpio, always on the edge, always walking that fine line between passion and destruction. In September, the line disappears entirely. There's a woman scorned, heartbroken, left behind by the one she loved most. Her nights are filled with dreams of him, of his face, his touch. But these dreams are not comforting. No, they're nightmares, visions of him trapped. One night, desperate for answers, she visits a graveyard, clutching an old book, its pages filled with forbidden spells. Under the light of the September full moon, she whispers an incantation, calling him back. And then, the earth beneath her feet shifts. A hand-cold, decayed rises from the ground. But it's not her lover. No, it's something else, something darker, something hungry. She realizes too late that what she summoned is not a spirit of love, but a demon of vengeance, and now it's come to collect her soul as payment. Sagittarius, the adventurer, the seeker of truth. But sometimes, the truth is more dangerous than the lie. A man, driven by an insatiable curiosity, stumbles upon an ancient artifact during his travels. The locals warned him, "Don't touch it. Don't even look at it too long." But of course, he couldn't resist. He brings the artifact back home, placing it on his desk as a trophy. That night, he dreams of an endless void, a black abyss that stretches as far as the eye can see. In the distance, he hears something, a faint sound, like chanting. He follows it, deeper into the void, until he sees them, shadowy figures. Thousands of them, all chanting in unison. "Come closer," they beckon. And when he does, he feels it hands, cold and lifeless, grabbing at him, pulling him into the abyss. He wakes up in a cold sweat, but the feeling doesn't go away. By the end of September, his dreams have become his reality. The chanting follows him wherever he goes. And he knows it's only a matter of time before the shadows pull him in for good. Capricorn, the ambitious one. The climber, always reaching for the top, no matter the cost. But what if that cost is your soul? There's a woman CEO of a major company, ruthless, driven. She's worked her entire life to get where she is. But this September, something shifts. Late one night, while reviewing contracts in her office, she looks up and sees something in the reflection of her window. It's her, but not quite. Her reflection moves slower, its eyes darker, its smile sinister. She tries to ignore it, but then it speaks. You want more, don't you? More power, more success. I can give it to you. She's hesitant at first, but as the days pass, the reflection's promises become too tempting to resist. She makes a deal, trading a piece of her soul for even greater power. And it works. Her company flourishes, her rivals fall. But every time she looks in the mirror, she sees less of herself and more of that twisted, smiling reflection. By the end of September, she no longer recognizes the person staring back at her, and the reflection is the one in control now. Pisces, the dreamer. The soul that drifts between worlds, never fully grounded in reality. A young man, lost in his fantasies, begins to experience vivid dreams of drowning. Every night, he's pulled deeper and deeper into an ocean that has no bottom. He wakes up gasping for air, drenched in sweat, but each night, the dreams grow more intense. He can feel the water filling his lungs, the cold seeping into his bones. He tells no one, afraid they'll think he's crazy. But one day, while walking by a river, he feels an overwhelming urge to jump in. He resists at first, but the pull is too strong. As he stands on the edge, staring into the murky water, he hears it, a voice from the depths calling his name. Come to me, it whispers. And just Babazia. He's about to step forward. He's pulled back by a passerby. He doesn't know it yet, but that river, it's claimed many souls before, and it's always hungry for more. So, who will win? The good souls of September, fighting to hold on to the light? Or the evil ones, whispering from the shadows, waiting to claim their prize? The battle is far from over, and the stakes have never been higher. The zodiacs are aligning, the forces of good and evil clashing in ways we can't see. But you can feel it, can't you? The tension, the pull, the war inside your very soul. As September draws to a close, one question remains. Which side will you choose? Or worse, what if the choice is no longer yours to make?